Hi everyone, John here with Weekly Thoughts video number 38. Let's get straight onto it. As you remember from a few weeks ago, I did a piece about Facebook doing a carpet ban on any anti or pro Ireland abortion videos, that propaganda videos, advertising, whatever, that was not based from the Republic of Ireland. The vote is now in. 66.4% of the Republic of Ireland voted in favour of accepting abortion across the board. As it stands at the moment, abortion is only used when a woman's life is at risk, but not in cases of rape, incest, or fatal fetal abnormalities. This obviously is now going to change. As I said in the previous video, I'm happy that that the Republic of Ireland is catching up with the rest of the West in terms of this, because abortion, as awful as it is, it should be down to peoples to decide. The child is not alive in the literal sense until it's born. Unfortunately, I mean, the child is alive, and once reproduction takes place, as far as I'm concerned. But I understand it. And as I say, it's good news, it's progress for the country. Let me put it that way. The leaders of North and South Korea have met in the demilitarized border area between the two countries. Now, obviously, I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. I mentioned it a few times, where North and South Korea are now in the same time zone, and they are now obviously doing everything to become one country. The meeting is the second meeting between Moon Jae-in and Kim Jong-un. It comes as the two sides continue to put an historic US-North Korea summit back on track. Now, as everybody will remember, a few days ago, Donald Trump did say that it wasn't going to go ahead. He wasn't going to meet them for whatever his posturing reasons were. But Korea, which is probably going to be referred to as Korea at some point, now wants to get that meeting back on track. And it's only good news for the entire world, not just for the Koreans, but for the entire world. Because if Korea and the US can sort themselves out, get a decent deal together, it's fantastic news. Again, talking about the NHS, as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago about the toothpaste scandal, the owner of Boots has rejected its claims over it overcharged NHS for a mouthwash used by cancer patients. An investigation by the Times newspaper said that the high street chemist charged the NHS £3,220 for a medical mouthwash, which can cost 93 quid. Walgreens Boots Alliance said the businesses has complied within the law. I don't give a fuck if it's within the law as far as I'm concerned on this. This really, really makes me angry. And I'll tell you for why, right? Because when my dad was going through chemotherapy, he had to take the same mouthwash. He was actually told by the nurses to not use their one, but to go out and buy and use Cordyceil instead. It's not a plug for Cordyceil. I'm not under any sponsorship. This is what he was told to do. Okay? So, even though it meant him climbing the walls every time he used his mouthwash, because his gums were exceptionally weak and sore because of the radiation and chemotherapy that he was having, it doesn't surprise me that this has been the case, because at the end of the day, we all know the NHS has been bleeding money. It's been bleeding money for donkey's years. I was about to say decades then, but it's the same thing. Donkey's years, decades. This is appalling. This is absolutely appalling. I don't care if it was done within the law. There's a morality that should kick in rather than it being lawful. A teenage boy and 3 other teenagers have been taken to hospital following an incident in the field. Police have mentioned. Now, this is up in Greater Manchester. I can't remember for the life of me where this field is, but nonetheless, this happened on Saturday night. Inquiries into whether there were any suspicions suspicious circumstances around this boy's death are ongoing, a Greater Manchester police spokeswoman said. Right, now again, from one point of view, I'm glad that it's not just London that's getting in the news about potential crimes with teenagers. This is probably more than likely knife crime. They usually are. And as I say, it's abysmal that it's always based at London all the time. And I'm glad from one point of view that it's getting exposure to show that the entire country is absolutely getting worse in terms of violent crime. I mean, I was thinking about this a few days ago, right? Years ago, we had no car alarms. You were able to stand out, keep your front doors on the latch, and you were able to go and visit your neighbours. You had to go out with no problem, no need to go in, lock your doors, lock your windows, anything like that. You could go out and you could enjoy yourself, basically. It wasn't that long ago, 20, 25 years ago. Yeah, we're now living this situation where we've got more gadgets to prevent us from being burgled, from having our cars stolen, phones stolen, blah, 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 right? Yet the crime statistics are still exactly the same. I mean, what's going on? We live in a really, really volatile society, and I don't care what anybody says. Yes, it can be a lot better, and yes, it can be a lot worse, but it's still not good. But there is morality here, yet again. It's a subject of morality. People need to stop being so fucking lazy, go and get your jobs, treat others with respect. And if everybody did that, then you'd find that crimes against the elderly, break-ins, stabbings, all that sort of stuff will come down. The Australian owner of Homebase has sold the DIY chain for £1, ending its disastrous foray into the UK. Wes Farmer said that £340 million for the retailer 2 years ago, but losses and other costs will bring the current bill to $1 billion. So basically, this company is bankrupt. This is what the story is. The people that own Homebase, the chain of stores that has been going on for donkey's years, is bankrupt, and they've sold it for £1. The chain that is buying Homebase is the same company that rescued HMV back in 2013. Obviously rescue being the operative word here, bearing in mind that we don't have any HMV stores anymore. Well, we do, but they're few and far between. Not like you go down to any high street and there was a HMV. They're only in very specific areas now. Like, for example, there's one in Stratford in Westfield, whereas there used to be one in every single town. Most of like the rest of the world, most of the purchases are coming online. So, but Homebase. Right, I live in Leytonstone, right? Leytonstone High Street used to have a Homebase up until about 2-3 years ago. Yeah, about 3 years ago. It was sold off, and is now and ever since then has been a B&M store. Exactly the same products, exactly the same layout. 90% of the staff is probably the same. It's just owned by a different company now. And it's that was good. It was shocking to see that Homebase had gone. One last thing I want to talk about is tens of thousands more women in England may have missed out on breast screening invitations dating back further than previously thought, according to a leading cancer expert. Now, I talked about this a little while ago. Earlier this month, the Health Secretary said a 2009 computer failure may have shortened up to 270 lives. But Professor Sazieni, I think you pronounced that, I'm hoping it's pronounced right, said the problems go back to actually 2005. So we've got 13 years worth of data that has been fucked by the NHS because people are inept, and the errors could have been spotted earlier. Now, as I say, that's 13 years worth of people that have probably died or have just missed out on getting the right treatment for breast cancer. Now, again, what worries me about this is that this also relates to, this could also be the same thing for everybody else suffering with other types of cancer. It could be prostate cancer, could be bowel cancer, could be lung cancer, could be throat cancer, could be mouth cancer. You know, this worries me. I'm sure these will come out at some point. Bearing in mind the exposure that breast cancer has had over the last 10, 15 years as well. Actually, no, longer than that, about 20 years now, the Mary Curie Trust and Run for Life and all that sort of, those brilliant, really world-class foundations that have been set up. And the Bobby Moore Fund, you know, it went when he lost his life, you know, due to bowel cancer, and it was actually metastatic, crawling up his back as well. You know, that's awful. You know, and you know, people like this, there's people that have these conditions deserve to be in a better position, but deserve to have more respect yet again, and to be treated properly. You know, as I said in the video earlier, in previous videos, the NHS is bleeding money left, right, and centre. And as a result, people are losing their lives because of it. One thing I did want to talk about that I haven't made notes for is there's been a sharp rise in sexual harassment cases. Morgan Freeman is the next person in line on this. There's been various reports coming out that various women have accused him of sexual assault back in the late 80s, early 90s, if I remember correctly. And also that Harvey Weinstein has been in court and has been charged with everything, and by the looks of it, he looks like he's actually pleaded guilty to the charges as well. You know, he's a known sex offender, he's a known sex addict. Sexploitation is also in the news a lot recently. The reason why I want to talk about this is because I've had this myself. A few years, maybe 3 years ago, I stood my ground with this idiot, and nothing came of it. But I was pinpointed by a webcam user, you know, back a few years ago now. It's not dignifying to say it, you know, but the sexploitation happens from all over the world. Mostly it's founded in, I think it was Cambodia, they were saying when I watched the story about it the other day. You know, as I say, these guys tried to milk me out of money. I told them where to go. They tried and tried and tried. I reported it to the police, and as usual, nothing really happened. So there you go, guys. Those are my weekly thoughts. If you haven't already checked out the midweek video, please go and do so. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what I'm doing around here and you're new, please click the subscribe button. Please click the like button as well for this video. Please also click the notification bell so you get first dibs on notifications of when these videos are going up. And also, please feel free to share this video as well. There is a video that should already be up by now, which is my review of this. Basically, I've bought a couple of very, very budget smartphone camera lenses, so that video's up, so please go and watch that as well. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend. I will be putting up a movie review video. 90% it's gonna be narration with pictures. Slightly different. I've never tried it before. I'm gonna give it a bash. Let me know how you feel, guys. Let me know what you think about these subjects I've discussed as well today. So in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your bank holiday weekend, and I'll see you again soon.